One of the fastest growing sports in the U.S. is also one of the oldest in existence. We're talking about the latest craze, axe throwing. Joining us today on Newsmakers is Ben Fowler, one of the owners of Main Street Axe Company. Thanks for joining us, Ben.
Yes, thank you for having me here today.
You're welcome. Well, first, tell us how you got started in axe throwing.
Main Street Axe Company is my wife's business. She had a girlfriend trip to Chicago. Her girlfriends took her axe throwing. She came home, told me about the experience, and 6 months later, we have Main Street Axe Company in Pittsburgh.
And that was how long ago?
3 years ago this week.
And you also have a store in Joplin, right?
Yes, a year after business in Pittsburgh, we opened Main Street Axe Company in Joplin at 215 South Wall Avenue.
Mm-hmm. And do you have plans for any future expansion?
Yes, there's plans in the works for a third location later this year in late fall, early December for a store in Emporia, Kansas.
Oh, wow. So nothing else local? Just
Not at the moment.
Further? Okay.
Not at the moment, yes.
Because there's a need in that part of the...
Yes, axe throwing is not available in that area, so and someone reached out to us wanting Main Street Axe Company in their hometown, so we're working with them to open a location there.
And how far do people travel to come to Pittsburgh or Joplin for your axe throwing?
45 minutes to an hour,
Okay.
Or more locally. Yes, regularly we have guests coming from 45 minutes to an hour away.
Wow. And so talk about axe throwing as a business. People are going crazy for it right now.
Yes.
Are there rules and procedures that you have to follow?
Yes, safety first. We're an affiliate of what's called the World Axe Throwing League. And there's rules, regulations, specifications that we need to follow to stay in accordance with them. And through those processes are your safety procedures and instruction that's given to play the sport.
Mm-hmm. So talk about the World Axe Throwing League and the National Axe Federation. Is that what it is? Axe Throwing Federation?
Yes, the World Axe Throwing League was founded in 2017 by Mario Zelaya. The sport started in Toronto, Canada, found its way to the United States, and has exploded across the world. Now there's over 300 affiliates in over 28 countries.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, over 6,000 throwers globally within the World Axe Throwing League.
And do you have to be a member of one of these organizations to have one of these businesses?
No, there's thousands of non-affiliated axe throwing venues around the world. We chose to be an affiliate of the World Axe Throwing League for the purpose and the goal of more national recognition, for the opportunity to be recognized on ESPN.
That's what I found out, that they actually air the tournaments.
Yes. So the larger tournaments, the World Championship of Axe Throwing, the World Axe Throwing Championship, and new this year is the World Knife Throwing League Championship. The World Championship and the U.S. Open are both aired on ESPN.
Do you have sponsors for things like this, like the people who make the axes?
Yes, some axe throwers have sponsors. Some of the more elite throwers that place or win most tournaments, they have their sponsors. For most, it's a hobby that becomes a very serious hobby. Some have sponsors, some don't. It just kind of depends on the person and the support they have behind them.
Mm-hmm. So is it like Nike or AT&T would support a national football, program? Is it sort of like that?
Yes, but what I've seen is more local businesses
Okay.
supporting the local axe thrower. So perhaps a restaurant or maybe an orthopedic physical therapy office or something to that effect.
And they just put like a patch on your shirt? Or,
Yeah, so what I'm wearing today is the official jersey of the World Axe Throwing League, and so there's an opportunity for sponsorship here on the front, I believe on the sleeve here next to of your nation's flag, and then on the back of the jersey there's opportunity for a logo to be placed for your sponsor.
And do people just go out and get their own sponsors, or how
Yes,
does that
you're
work?
responsible for your own sponsor.
Sure.
If you would like to have, if you would like to represent a company, and with that, you have the opportunity to have your sponsor's brand on ESPN should you make the finals of the last day of one of the bigger tournaments.
Wow. So talk about the leagues that people can join.
Yes, so the World Axe Throwing League has league throughout the year in 8-week periods. The Winter League, the Spring, the Summer, and the Fall League. We're currently in the Fall League. This week starts week 3. We throw standard hatchet, which is the sport that most people see when you think of axe throwing. We do something also called big axe, where you throw a longer axe that's at least 23 inches long. It has a little larger of an axe head and longer blade. Duels is the third discipline. In duels, you have a teammate and you stand side by side with them, throwing and sharing the same bullseye at the same time. And new this year is knife throwing.
Okay.
At our store here in Joplin, we offer standard hatchet, big axe, duels, and knife throwing. Our knife throwing league here in Joplin has about 19 participants, and it's one of the largest in the country.
And how do people join those leagues?
They come in and have an experience with their friends or family, and they're more curious, they're more interested in more, and they want to come more regularly, and they ask and we inform them about our league play and the axe community that we've built through league play. And once they come in and they hit their first bullseye and they hit their first kill shot, they're hooked and they want more. And it's a great activity that's very primal, and a lot of people enjoy it. There's good exercise in the walking back and forth to your target, and so it's an activity a lot of people enjoy.
The only thing I can equate to it, or that comes close to my mind, would be like dart throwing, like dart competition.
Similar, yes. The target's a little bit different, and then we just have the rings rather than several scoring areas. But there's different games to play during social play. Like say a social play, you come in, we show you several different types of games in addition to the standard match play game. But yes, similar to darts. However, a lot more satisfying when you throw a larger object that has a larger sharp blade, and more fun too.
Do you see these, like your business, would you think about going to county fairs or state fairs and setting up a booth for people? Are you able to do that kind of thing?
We do not have a mobile axe throwing unit. We found that for our business and what works best for us at the moment is to have the brick and mortar store. There's other businesses that have mobile axe throwing, and for our business model, the brick and mortar works best for us.
I didn't even know if it was a thing. I was talking to the Columbus Chamber of Commerce representative the other day about the Columbus Days, and I asked her if she had thought about axe throwing, and she's like, no, I hadn't heard of that. So
my wife and I built some mobile axe throwing units, not say on a trailer, but we built some, and there's larger companies have worked with us. We've worked with them to set up axe throwing for larger off-site team building events. We've done that in the past, and also at golf fundraising tournaments, we've set up an axe throwing target on a tee box. However, that was several years ago, a couple years ago, and going forward, we're more focused on business at the store.
Sure. And so do you have local competitions between, like, say, your company, Main Street Axe Company, and there's one in Neosho, Tommy Hawks? Do you guys compete against each other?
Yes and no. For competition, we have our league play. Each league is 8 weeks. You have your in-house leaderboard, and in-house stats, and at the end of the 8-week league, we have a double elimination tournament. The goal for your venue is to win your league. Once you're competing at a higher level and maybe traveling to more tournaments, then that's the opportunity to maybe say throw a match or a game against someone from maybe Tommy Hawks or someone from another venue in Florida or New York, or someone who is also at the tournament. So yes and no. It's a community and we work together. They have a tournament, we go there and support, and have throwers from Main Street Axe Company at Tommy Hawks. We have a tournament or a fundraiser, their throwers come over and support us, and throw with us.
Sure, that makes complete sense. And so talk about that leaderboard. Are there people from our local area that are on the world leaderboard?
Yes, so everyone that joins League has an online profile with the World Axe Throwing League. And you have your, like as I just mentioned, you have your in-house leaderboard and stats. But then also everyone is on a global leaderboard. Myself, last week, after week 2 of Big Axe, I finished in the top 20. So at the moment, I'm in the neighborhood of top 20 for the Big Axe discipline.
That's pretty great for only having done it a few years.
Yes, I have a lot of fun with it, and it's enjoyable. In addition to myself, we also, as I mentioned, we have our knife throwing league, and myself and 2 other league members at our Joplin store have qualified for the World Knife Throwing League Championship this December in Dallas. And should we make the final day, it'll be aired on filmed live on ESPN at the Billy Bob's Event Center in Fort Worth.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's the goal.
We
hope that one of us, throws well enough that day to have the opportunity to be there and be on ESPN and represent the Southwest Missouri.
That's cool. And I've never thrown axes. I don't even know. I mean, I'd be afraid I would injure someone, or more likely myself. Do people get hurt throwing?
No, maybe a splinter from leaning their hand on the target. There's a sobering moment when it's your turn, you come up and you pick up the hatchet to throw. And oftentimes the person in the group who is the most hesitant or the most unsure oftentimes is the best in the group. I see that most regularly.
Well, so right now I want to pull up an instructional video on how-to for axe throwing. Let's take a look at that.
Hey everyone! Recently we've taken up axe throwing and decided to build our own target. Today I'm going to show you how we built our target, and if you want to try to build it at home, you can follow this video. I looked up a tutorial on YouTube and showed my dad. My dad is a woodworker. He can literally build anything. Went to Lowe's, got the materials. It cost roughly $100, and the axes cost about $17 a piece. You can see they're cobalt. The target that we're using is based on the National Axe Throwing Federation's dimensions. The link to that is in the description below.
Let's get started. First, we cut the 3 8-foot 2x10s in half and took 5 of those 4-foot boards and lined them up side by side. Next, we took 2 of our 2x6 boards and cut 4 pieces that were roughly 2 foot long. We're going to use 3 of them to brace the back of our target. We put screws every couple of inches to make sure everything was secure. Next, we're making the legs for our target using the other 2 2x6 boards. Since the center of the bullseye is supposed to be 63 inches from the ground, we had to cut some off of the 2x6 boards to meet regulation according to the National Axe Throwing Federation. We screwed the legs into the side. This was a little bit tricky with 2 people. Good thing my parents' dog Rascal came and helped. To make the feet for our legs, we took 1 2x4, cut it in half, centered it with the leg, and screwed it on. You can see in the back that we also cut another 2x4 in half with 45-degree angles on one of the ends of each piece. We used those pieces to attach to our feet and legs, which created a more stable base and looks better in my opinion. Once we completed the feet on both sides, it was ready to stand up. We took the piece that we had left over from one of our 2x6s and attached it a few inches under the face of the target for better stabilization and support. I stained the target with a golden oak stain that I found at Lowe's, and I absolutely love the way that it turned out. I love the color. I also sealed it since we are keeping it outside, so once the stain dried, I did apply a waterproof sealer.
I drew the target according to the World Axe Throwing Federation dimensions using a nail, screw, and a marker. After the target was drawn, all that was left to do was paint. Here's the final product. In total, this took about 4 hours to complete. We're really happy with how this has turned out. Let me know if you try this.
All right, today I'm going to show you guys how to throw an axe. So there's essentially 2 ways of doing it. 2-handed, 1-handed. Very simple technique. 2-handed, you want to grip it, but not grip it too hard. You're not gripping a baseball, you're not hitting it as hard as you can, you're not swinging as hard as you can. You'll notice that the profile of the axe is nice and thin. This is an axe that's essentially meant for throwing, meaning it's not a standard hatchet that you can get like at a Home Depot or some sort of a home hardware store. This has been modified specifically for axe throwing, so it doesn't require much force. Because it doesn't require much force, you don't have to crank it as hard as you can in order to get the axe to stick. This axe is not meant for splitting wood, it's for sticking to boards. So 2-handed technique, very simple. 2 hands on the axe. I like to keep my thumbs lined up, similar to like a golf club. I don't know if any of the viewers have been golfing, but same technique, or you can just grip it normally. So I'll grip it normally, just for simplicity's sake. I will grip it lightly. You'll notice that there's this light grip. It's not a firm, tight grip. All you have to do is lean back, and you're releasing right in front of you. So you're not releasing low, you're not releasing high, otherwise it'll go too fast, or it'll go high or too low. So it's a very simple technique. You don't really need to throw it that hard. It's not overly difficult to do. And you just release in front of you. Don't worry about flicking your wrist. Don't worry about trying to get the axe to rotate. The next technique, I will show you what's called the Canadian flick, where you essentially rotate it. It's not needed. It just depends on your axe throwing style. Now, the key thing is, if you're over rotating, meaning the axe spins too far, that means you're too far back. So I threw from the 12-foot line, and that's what essentially most axes are built for the 12-foot mark. I'm gonna throw from the 15-foot mark just to exaggerate what an over rotation looks like. So I'm gonna throw from here, the axe over rotated. So if you're throwing an axe and it over rotates, all that means is you have to take a step forward. And the key is, as soon as you have the axe touch the wood with its face, you're throwing it correctly. And all you have to do is then make minor adjustments. Now, the 1-handed technique is quite simple. You want to keep your arms straight, elbow in. It doesn't require much force. Bring it nice and close back to you. Release, and that's it. So 2 simple techniques. 1-handed or a 2-handed technique will work. Essentially, that's all you really need to know is when you have an axe that's profiled and meant for axe throwing, not much force is needed.
And that was, you said, the guy who founded.
The founder of the World Axe Throwing League, Mario Zelaya, yes.
And do you guys have instructional courses like that when you?
Yes, so every guest that comes to our store, is greeted by their host or the axe coach, who they first talk about safety. They show the group how to throw, and then every guest has a one-on-one lesson with the axe coach initially, and then throughout your experience, you have coaching from your axe coach and or everyone at the store that may walk by to see and offer help.
Oh, okay. And you said he was throwing it. It was more an advanced thrower?
Yes, the technique he was using was typically used more for an advanced thrower, a one-handed throw with a more professional type of hatchet. The hatchet he was throwing is retails for around $115.
Wow.
And it's not, that type of hatchet is not for the everyday thrower. We use a more durable house axe, a camper's axe, that's more durable. It can take some beating and drops for learning how to throw. Once you get into the sport and you learn more about it and how to throw, then you try other types of hatchets that may fit your throwing style best.
And do people invest a lot of money in like the equipment? Do they
Yes,
have their own axes?
yes and no. So you can start with a $20 hatchet from Ace Hardware. Their Ace Hardware half hatchet is $20, and some professionals throw those, and they're great. Or you could spend upwards of, the hatchet Mario was holding was about $115, or you could buy a vintage axe head and then have a custom handle put on it, and then you're spending several hundred dollars.
And you guys provide the axes, though, right?
Yes, we provide the hatchets for the everyday guest, the everyday axe thrower, as well as for our axe throwing league as well. So if you'd like to come in and join our league and you're unsure, we have house axes, and everyone within our axe family, we call, or our community, is very helpful to share theirs with you to help you learn which style of hatchet works best for your throwing style.
So it can be a pretty serious sport as well as just for fun.
Yes, most people, it starts for fun and then it becomes serious once you get into the leagues and competing and maybe traveling to some tournaments and local tournaments and things like that.
It does sound like a lot of fun, though.
It's good. Hitting your first bullseye or your first kill shot. It's very you want more. You want to hit another bullseye. You want to hit the next kill shot.
Right.
It's an activity that you leave our store feeling good about it when you're done, through the exercise and through the healthy competition and maybe a couple of craft beverages.
And are there leagues, or can kids come in? What are the rules about that?
Yes. So our store in Joplin, we serve alcohol and we don't serve food, so we're classified as a bar. Okay. Therefore, all guests in the building need to be at least 21. However, we are able to set up private parties during non-regular business hours. And then also at our Pittsburgh store, the city of Pittsburgh has a separate ordinance. So during all regular hours, all family members of all ages are welcome. In Pittsburgh, axe throwers can be as young as 12. And if an axe thrower is 12 to 17, they need to be with their parent or their guardian. And if they're 18 and over, they can come in on their own at our Pittsburgh store. So we've taught axe throwers from 12 years old to guests in their 90s.
And you said some families can come in do come in and...
It's great, seeing daughter throw against dad and get a win, or grandpa with granddaughter, or brother, sister, it's siblings, and seeing the different generations of family members coming in and having, an activity together, and the joy of being engaged in the activity is really fun for us and for them to see and enjoy as well.
And you said there aren't any TVs, so people can't be distracted. It's just you're focused on
yes,
that.
Well, our business model is without distractions and being engaged in the activity. We want guests who come or there to be with each other and enjoy the activity. You don't want to be distracted by, in our opinion, something on television and you're not paying attention to where you're walking.
Sure.
So.
Well, and you said there are groups, businesses, and some teams from Missouri Southern even that come and do exercises.
So in addition to a date night or birthday party celebration or bachelorette or bachelor party, we often book have businesses contact us for team building events, holiday parties, and sports teams, organizations coming in for team building events.
That's pretty cool.
We really enjoy it, especially, for example, last year when there was the National Track and Field tournament at Pittsburgh State, several throwers from around the country who were on the throwing teams came in together and did some competitive axe throwing together, and that was really fun to see javelin throwers throwing the hatchet together, and hatchet and the hammer throwers. Those types of experiences are fun.
Wow. So, and is this a sport that's mainly dominated by men, or are there women leagues, co-ed?
It's all inclusive, so it's everybody. Everyone competes together. I have seen where there are youth leagues or women's leagues and men's leagues, or maybe perhaps a recreational league versus a sanctioned World Axe Throwing League, but everyone competes and throws together. There are very elite women throwers and there's elite men throwers. So everyone competes together, and it's an activity to enjoy with everyone.
And about what does it cost to play in a league?
Our leagues are about $130 for hatchet, and then additional leagues added on are about another $50.
Okay.
So most everyone participates in hatchet, standard hatchet, and then after standard hatchet, we'll do big axe or knife throwing or duels. And knife throwing being new this year, we've been pleasantly surprised with the interest of all demographics that were most interested in knife throwing. We use types of knives that are made for axe throwers.
Okay.
The blades are rounded and square. There's no edge.
Oh.
And they also have guards on the sides of them so they don't fly through your fencing or the rails of your throwing area.
So it's
it's
kind of
safe.
like a dagger of
No, it's still a knife. It looks
Okay.
like dagger, maybe a better word, but it looks more, it's about this long and has the guards and the handle and, a rounded off blade and tip. So as opposed to sticking, a 4-inch blade, you're sticking maybe a 1/4 inch.
I gotcha.
So the skill and needed is significantly more.
And my son, he loves like pocket knives and switchblades. Like he loves every kind of knife there is. I bet he'd probably be interested in something like that.
Yes. If you enjoy throwing objects,
Sharp objects.
Sharp objects. That he would love coming to our store. In addition to the items that I mentioned, for fun we have what's called a shovel, like a tactical shovel. For fun, sometimes we bring it out and throw that. And then there's fun and interesting trick shots to throw underhanded. Perhaps maybe you have a sore shoulder. There's a way to throw the hatchet underhand, so it's not so much pressure on your overhead throwing. Whether you're throwing one-handed or a two-handed throw, we can show you how to throw underhand, where it's less strain on your shoulder or arm to get the hatchet to the target.
And there's no shame in the game when it comes to that. Like granny shots in a basketball game, you can still shoot it.
Oh yeah, some people prefer the underhand throw, and
Yeah.
there's throwers in the big tournaments throwing underhand and doing very well. So it just depends on your body mechanics and what works best for you is what you roll with.
So there's something for everyone.
There's something for everybody, yes.
That's great. And is there anything that you want people to know about axe throwing that we haven't talked about? Like social, you said there's a social aspect of it that.
Yeah, it's a really great, fun place to come and enjoy your time with people. The community is very supportive. Our axe throwing league is very supportive of one another and a very welcoming place for everybody. Whether you're celebrating or you're getting together with people who you don't normally spend one-on-one time with. It's an environment to have a great craft beverage, have some fun, get a little bit of exercise, and leave feeling good about the activity you just had. Leaving the store, axe throwing, most everyone has a smile on their face when they're leaving, and that's really great to see.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming out and talking.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to come here today.
Yeah, you bet. I want to thank Ben Fowler with Main Street Axe Company for joining us today. This is a really fascinating sport. This is Newsmakers on KGCS TV from the Ruth Colpin Studios here at Missouri Southern State University, and I'm Bobby Potroff. We'll see you again soon.